Did you ever talk with him? The party, yeah.
Yeah, they did. He said thanks, but not thanks. That's the. I think I could have made a difference. I don't know who's your company.
Yeah.
When you leave.
You can have mine.
After cleaning up after Christmas and I put it somewhere. So this week or next week.
Oh, sorry. We did.
Apparently.
Oh, Lord, you think you could make a difference on the mark?
Everybody over there. Oh my goodness.
Cause I know you.
Waited all day, for the guy to come fix my chair and he gets there. Pretty much fine. They've only had it there, you know, they said they'd be there between 12 and 6. They got there at 4:30 to just take pictures and say it's got parts. Cause I had errands to run in town, got a little while ago. But when my husband gets his taco salad, he goes, don't you have a meeting? Oh, yeah.
You made it.
I've been scared. So.
That's what
That's a beaver time, try to keep your weight with 30. Mine was.
she is on the phone.
Sharon, these ones are here, but it swivels down and the time.
I think they all here, including Lily on the phone.
Yeah.
So I will call to order. First item will be to make any adjustments that are necessary. We'll have an opportunity for public comment on matters that are not within the commission tonight. Then we'll have a chance to look at and review the meeting minutes for the December 2 meeting. We do have one legislative public hearing on housekeeping amendments for the Living zoning and development code. Those are items that we have discussed in the work session on several occasions in the past. Finally, we'll have a community development activity report and an opportunity for open discussion. Any changes to the agenda? All right, we'll move on to public comment. If there is anyone who wishes to address the planning commission on a matter that is not on tonight's agenda, it's the opportunity. Sir? Thank you. My name is Grant Smith. Sorry, Lily, I have a little packet here I'm handing out. And would you be good enough to give your address for the record? Yes, 87975 Pine Street. Do I
Great.
stand up here?
That's fine.
Sure.
And when you're done, if I can have a copy of the packet, as well.
Actually, I'll give you.
Yeah, afterwards, fine.
Yeah, 87975 Pine Street in Veneta. I know I don't have a lot of time here, so I'm gonna make this kind of brief, and I've hopefully the packet there, a little cover letter, kind of talks about the packet, but I was here back in September. I'm, building a little subdivision. I'm not a professional divider, but I've owned the lot there at the corner of Trinity and Pine as you enter the Trinity Terrace subdivision. And so I'm putting in 5 lots there. 3 of those lots will face or do face Trinity Street as you drive into Trinity Terrace. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with that neighborhood, but my opinion, it's one of the nicest neighborhoods in Veneta. I raised my kids there. My mom lived there for 10 years. I lived on Jake Street. Now I live on Trinity. Anyway, I'm through this process. It's been a good process. I got all my utilities in here a few weeks ago. But I caught something that actually our builder caught it. And in my approval, when I was here in September, I had to apply for a variance for the driveways. But long story short, you approved my subdivision plan. But on page 18 of that plan is a couple of conditions of approval, and they relate to the setbacks for the homes. And my focus was on the lots at the time. I missed it. I don't think you guys noticed it either. But bottom line is, the city is forcing me to treat that corner lot as a flag lot. And so if you look at page 3 on your packet there, the third page, you can see my little subdivision. Clearly see a flag lot and clearly see a corner lot. Page after that are the city's definitions right from city code on what a corner lot is and what a flag lot is. Following that, you'll also see a visual representation from city code that looks literally exactly like what I'm building. Then you can see another page of the city codes. But the bottom line, what that does to me, they're forcing me to have a 20-foot front setback, and the front of that corner lot, the house there, face the flagpole. So picture a house as you're going into Trinity Terrace, the house is going to be faced backwards. It's going to be facing awkwardly toward my current shop building where I live. And it'll only have a 10-foot setback facing Trinity. So the house is going to be squeezed 10 feet closer up to Trinity than any other house in the neighborhood. The fence will be right on the property line, and it's going to look horrible. I'm really proud of that neighborhood. I've developed this subdivision to complement, and I expect people to think that it's part of Trinity Terrace. My neighbors are here. They're right across the street. It was supposed to face their house, and it won't. And the whole reasoning behind it is, again, awkwardly applying standards for a flag lot to clearly a corner lot. And I've enjoyed working with Kevin. They're both there, Kevin and Daniel. But I totally disagree with how they are applying that standard. So I'm hoping for a way to correct that. The bottom line is, since you guys approved it now, they said, well, it's planning commission's, it's on your plate now. Well, I don't feel that it's my responsibility to have to come back and ask for another variance on what I think is a mistake for errantly applying the codes. I'm hoping that the commission will work with me and find a way to positively correct this. The last thing I'd say is, one of the reasons there's an email string there in the back, and I've circled a paragraph. And one of their goals was to ensure that I had a 20-foot driveway in front of the garage. Because they don't want cars blocking the driveways. I would say if you want that, put it in city code, and it's not. But B, if you would look closely at my map, the driveway into the flag lot that they don't want to block, there's a 10-foot, it's highlighted in blue on that first page of my lot. There's a 10-foot drainage ditch that I have to cross before you hit the property line. And then if you have a standard 10-foot setback off that property line, you would still have that 20 feet that they're trying to get. So, if you apply the standard, I think it should be applied. You'll have a home facing beautifully onto Trinity Street. You'll have a 20-foot driveway on a back entry garage. And I think everybody will be happy. You just have to apply the code and the definitions in your own very comprehensive 180-page code. And I just think, I hate to say it, I've enjoyed working with these guys, but I think they're reading this wrong and applying something that nobody's going to be happy about. So, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Let me say this, the commission will not respond to your request tonight, but I believe the commission will ask staff to prepare a response to the commission so that we can consider what action if we would take.
I understand you can. I'm sorry. I didn't want to spend another $750 process just to stand in front of you. I want to work with the city and the commission to do the right thing.
I understand.
So thank you for this.
Staff will take a look at it.
Perfect. Thank you.
They may come back to us and say, no, we don't recommend a change. Then they come back and say, we recommend a change. I can't tell you about that, but I do know that staff will be asked to take a look at the issue. Do your neighbors wish to testify also?
Yes.
Okay, please come forward, state your name and address, and your mature remarks to approximate the.
Brian and Sandra Polish,
Mhm.
25236 Trinity Street, Veneta.
Thank you.
So we're just gonna piggyback Link here. He's been a great neighbor. We are the first home on the corner of Trinity Terrace. We've been there about 10 years, so the Trinity Terrace sign is in our yard. I'm also the captain for the Trinity Terrace Neighborhood Watch, so I'm pretty involved with everyone for the most part when I need to be. I'm here this evening to address some concerns I have regarding the neighbor's large lot property that is directly across the street from our home. Our great neighbor's moving soon. As you may already know, the property's been subdivided and some new homes are going in. Sorry, if this is repetitive. I wrote this out. I was alerted that the home that would be directly across from our home would face backwards. This would leave our view in front of our home facing to the back of the new homes. I'm here tonight to say that I'm 100% against this home facing the wrong way from our home. This results in looking strange and out of place on an already established beautiful subdivision. This placement of the new home will distort heavily from the entry of our subdivision. It will not follow suit with the other homes who face it accordingly all the way down Trinity Street. Neighbors walk their dogs, exercise, and take very good care of their yards in our subdivision. A home not facing the street correctly will look bizarre. We consider our corner being a welcoming and valuable entry to our part of the city. We are fairly in tune with our corner neighbors on all four corners. We stay in good contact. A home facing backwards will make it near impossible to keep a good eye out for theft, etc. from any of our four corners. Our corner being the most affected. We are accustomed to notifying one another when out of town, so this would hinder the sense of safety significantly. If the new owner happens to get a dog, like the majority of our neighbors, the dog may constantly bark, guarding their territory to the many, many daily passersby on foot or bicycle all year round. This will ruin our peace and quiet. I hope this oversight can be amended as it takes away from our subdivision in so many ways. We would like your support in maintaining beauty and peace in our Trinity Terrace neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think it's gonna be pretty dark. Landscaping everybody's yard.
Oh, that's your now. Yeah.
Put that in the record.
That is pretty good.
Great.
If you mean just give it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it on my computer.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I'm
No, you're-
penciled in a couple things.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Will not respond tonight. But I will ask staff to take a look at the issues he raised and come back to us with whatever recommendation staff deems appropriate. We will consider it at that time. I do notice, it's Mr. Finley's email of December 15th in the afternoon, noting that the current feeling of staff is that they would not recommend a change. I do not wish to prejudge what staff might recommend or not recommend, but I would like the planning commission to have an opportunity to consider the comments made by Mr. Smith and to hear a staff recommendation on what action, if any, we should take. Is that okay? Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, is there anyone on the phone who might wish to offer public comment?
There is no one else on the phone except
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Reese.
We'll move on to the next item is the agenda, which is the minutes of December 2. They have been presented to staff or by staff, and I think that's review. Are there any recommendations for changes or correction for me? Hearing none, I'm entertaining a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented unless there's objection, motion will be agreed to, and seeing no objection, the motion is agreed to. Next item of business is a public hearing on housekeeping amendments to the Beginning zoning code. As I mentioned, at the beginning, it's legislative public hearing. So it's not necessarily to talk about the conflicts of interest or ex-party context. The hearing will be conducted in consistent with ORS 187. We will hear from staff and we'll give a staff report. Since staff is in essence the applicant, We will then offer an opportunity for testimony in favor, and followed by testimony, in opposition. And then staff will have an opportunity to make a closing argument. Then we will hear close the public hearing and deliberate and come to a decision. I don't think I need to talk about failure to participate in the public hearing. Because there's no one here who might participate, but for the record, for those who look at the minutes after the meeting afterwards, please understand that on the absence of appearance during the process will preclude appeals to. With that, the public.
Thank you, Chair. Commission, file #8-25-5 supposed to be the Benita zoning and development. Right. We went through this, commission initiated it in November, we held a work session in December. We noticed the amendments, when split with the Benita zoning and development code, and the public comments were received. Everything we're going to go over tonight, the commission has seen before, with the exception of this first item, which was brought to the attention of staff by Mr. Smith. In a related garage setback, we did feel, looking at it, that there was a deficiency that should be corrected in our code as it related to garage setbacks, not just for his subdivision or as it applies there, but we can see this in other subdivisions as well, and I'll point to an example of that, but our code requires garages to be set back 20 feet from the property line when it faces a public right of street. This lets you have a 20-foot long driveway, and which lets you fit the car in the driveway, typical parking space, margin 18 feet long. So this lets you fit a car in the driveway without extending over the property line on the sidewalk side on the street. This is a pretty typical standard. You see that in cities, and we have a similar standard that applies to flag lots, a 20-foot setback from the front of the pole or from the lot line of the pole. So we weren't around when the code was written. You can't say for certain why that's there. 20-foot setback flag lots too. Our best guess is for one to be consistent with the rest of the code, implying that the 20-foot setback, and then two to allow for, like I said in that email that you see a driveway of adequate length, so that you're not backing out or parking within a flagpole driveway, which is especially important if it's shared by multiple lots, as it often is. Even if it's just for a few minutes here or there, that can impede someone's egress, ingress or egress through the driveway. And there are some lots that maybe aren't necessarily flag lots, but still take access off of the flagpole. And like I mentioned, this isn't just in Mr. Smith's subdivision, but in other places in town too. This is the Madrone Ridge subdivision, Oaks Orchard and Perkins right here. And as you can see, there are a few flag lots here. And this all right here is going to be eventually one big flagpole driveway. And then there's one lot right here that technically isn't a flag lot, but it takes access from the flagpole. And if you don't apply a 20-foot setback for a garage, if it's not subject to the flag lot setbacks, then you could potentially just put a garage 5 feet from this property line. In which case there isn't a driveway of adequate length. And then you could run the conflicts of someone is parking a car in front of that garage there. And that's why, for that reason, we would be recommending amending our table 4.1 to specify that the front of any garage, not just facing public right of way, but facing any property line would have to be set back 20 feet. This is how it's done in other cities of our size. Crestwell and Cottage Grove both have the same standard lines. The front of the garage from any property line, not necessarily the right of way. Not every city does it this way, but Cottage Grove, Springfield all do. And then others, Eugene, Coburg, do it the way we currently do it. So at this point, I would like to turn it back over to the commission for discussion. If you want to include this change in the minutes tonight, you can. It is your decision to make, and if you want to leave it out and wait till we've had a chance to go over it some more. I'm sure there'll be an opportunity in the future to include it.
Questions for the commission? None.
So it's 20 feet now, right?
It's 20 feet from public right of way. So it doesn't have to be 20 feet if it's facing a side or rear property line like this. So the 20-foot setback for the garage for this lot, it, right now, as a code is written, would only apply to this property line. So it has to be set 20 feet back from here, but it could be closer, up to 5 feet or 3 feet if it's detached to these property lines.
And the difference between that one, like his lot one, is that there's not room, if the house is facing the street, to do the 20-foot setback. That's why the house has to be backwards, where in this property, if we made it 20 feet, they could do the access from either the side lot or from the right of way.
They,
The setback, so the house could be set two different directions in this sample,
or this one or that one?
that one.
That one, it could be, the issue with this one is this is a little bit the narrower lot, it's only about 60 feet wide, so if you have it set back 20 feet from the front, that really limits what they can do. So more than likely, you're gonna see the house take access from the pole and be oriented facing.
So if I'm not mistaken, I understand staff in this recommendation to be saying the garage, front of the garage must be 20 feet from the lot line, regardless of whether or not that lot line is public right.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
At least it is 20 feet from the lot line from which access is taken.
The front of the garage, yeah.
So in some event, if it's, if access is taken from the public right of way, then it's 20 feet right of way. If it's taken from a flagpole, it's 20 feet from the property line of the flagpole.
Yes.
Further comments, would you like to consider this more, or would you like to include this in the recommendation? Keeping in mind that if we keep it in the recommendation, that may have an effect of judging the request by Mr. Smith. And if we take it as a separate recommendation and consider it separately, that may not involve prejudging the issue raised by Mr. Smith.
There's no rush on it, we could push it out a month.
We could also remove it from these amendments and improve it with the future.
Yeah. If you want.
We weren't trying to.
Yeah.
Have a commission.
Yeah,
It's just because it
It's
came
fine.
with the same.
Yeah.
It might make sense to pull it from this recommendation
Makes us look.
and consider it separately.
Yeah.
It may end up with exactly the same result.
Yeah.
But the perception might be that if we moved ahead with this in the recommendation, that we have in essence ignored comments from Mr. Smith. And that might be inappropriate, even if we ultimately come to the same conclusion.
And also,
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
it might have an effect on what we think. If you guys are trying to work with what you're wanting to do, you guys might also have a light go on and go, oh, we can make it look like this or something like that. And that might change how we view this too, so.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Now,
I got the impression from your email, so that you weren't wanting to change or look at what he is requesting from somebody who lives there. I would have to, say that I might not be able to post an opinion because I drive by that every day. I live in the neighborhood, walk my dogs, consistency.
can I make one clarification?
Yes,
please do.
The setback on the garage and the setbacks on that lot. Not only do not preclude the house from facing Trinity or Pine, it's required. The house can't face the flag. It can't, it has to face the street.
that
So-
makes sense.
You, you would enter from the rear and the garage could be in the rear and the house could absolutely face Trinity both time and it must. So what they were talking about, was
Okay.
being turned the other direction, in the backyard being out front, that's not,
That's not a crossing.
yeah, that's not.
That's what he made it sound like, that's what I was
And,
confused about.
and that's why I kind of went down, I wanted to realize that that's not, what we're telling you here
Okay,
is not. You know, you have to turn the house and, cause yeah, they're right, that would look bizarre. I mean, she had the right word, it would look bizarre. Yeah.
so the garage would they would enter from Pine up the street, that gets everybody back to their lots. Their garage would be back here.
Right.
Just like these would, I'm assuming these other lots would be behind this
No.
one, no,
The
no.
Other ones
there's no
facing
set.
Pine, get a driveway, or sorry, facing Trinity, get a driveway. Yeah.
But they share one drive
Yeah,
because they couldn't meet the, you know, or they were very close to that standard, so they ended up, they never
Lot-
could have put two driveways. in.
Lot one and four would share
Yeah.
here,
Yes.
that helps.
But there would in that case be,
They face this.
there's nothing to include
I don't know.
a 20 foot setback. From the property line on the flagpole. And that's still the garage sitting at the rear of the house with the house facing.
Right. Or pine. I mean,
Or
yeah,
the
side
access.
The only difference from the houses next to them on Trinity, you were placing them in the garage,
And it
not
could
the
be-
front of the
yeah,
whole.
it could be detached, it could be a carport, there are a lot of things they could do, the reason for the 20 feet has always been so that a car can stay in park and not be on the sidewalk.
Okay, we will, I think we have a consensus to remove that particular change from this here public hearing and consider it a substance.
perfect, thank you.
Moving on, Mr. Fenwick.
Thank you, Chair Goodwin. The rest of this you've seen already, so I'll try and breeze through it. Please stop me if you have any questions. The amendments will make changes to our parkland vacations code. It will require developers who are dedicating parkland to provide the city both a phase one environmental assessment and a full inventory of trees on parkland. The amendments will have setback requirements for individual mobile vending units, or food trucks, or for other mobile vending units, property lines and structures. They will also allow mobile vending units to remain on one property for more than a year, not exempting permit requirement, just allowing it to remain. The amendments will change their temporary sign regulations. Currently it states there's a limit to the size and number of temporary signs. We will intend to restrict the size and number of temporary signs in accordance with the size and number we have for permanent signs. The amendment will also allow existing properties with no access points from the road to have one access point or driveway, even if it doesn't meet our spacing standards. This will remove requirement to get a variance for properties that existed before this code was adopted. The amendments will also remove the requirements for a traffic impact analysis for developments where an access driveway does not meet the access basic standard. So we have an onerous requirement that would really give us any more information than we would otherwise have. The amendments will make a few changes to our flag lot code. Clarify that flag lots are only allowed where the TSP doesn't show a street continuing through it, and that flag lots must connect to a public street other than an alley. And some of the current standards are vague, and the wording of some sections will also be just clarify the language. The amendments will change the city's timeline for the type 2 decisions to match the state's timeline. The amendments will also allow a second extension of the expiration date for type 2 decisions. Since many larger developments like subdivisions of site plan reviews are processed as type 2 decisions now. We'll also change the submission requirements for some of our site plan review, for site plan reviews to reduce the number of physical copies required, change the procedural requirements to be consistent and reduce standard lot. And there are a few other smaller changes that are listed and then described in AIS. Have to answer questions about those, otherwise I will turn it back over to the machine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. As Mr. Finley said, we have taken a look at all of these particular changes. Do we need further? We follow the process. Is there anyone who we should testify with respect to these things? Either for or against? Seeing none, in that case, in the absence of objection, I will close the public hearing, close the public record, and we may deliberate. Any questions on the part of, commission staff, any thoughts of anything we should do differently than what we've already considered?
Well, I just have a question, my brain's a little foggy. Last month, we were talking about temporary and permanent signs. And we were kind of melding them together.
Yes, yeah, I
So
took,
we don't, you took all the permanent sign terminology out.
I did, yeah, I
Okay.
took the language or the recommendations and the directions from the
Okay.
commission, made it.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I remember, but I didn't, okay, good.
Anything further?
Nothing.
Then I guess in the absence of it further deliberation and consider a motion on whether or not to recommend to the council the proposed amendments with the specific change of removing the garage setback item. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to that we recommend the city council adopt the proposed amendments to the video zoning and development code in action A 25-5 as written, except for the garage setback.
And is there a second?
I will second.
Then moved,
Second.
then moved and seconded, to recommend the council approve the recommendations with the exception of the garage setback item. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, we'll move on to other. Or I guess actually first the activity report and then.
Thank you, Chair Goodwin. This is our annual report for all of 2025. If you look at this column right here, this is 2025 total. Down at the bottom, the total number of applications we received this year compared to past years. It looks higher than 2024, but if you take into account that we didn't have an erosion and sediment control permit before 2025, it would drop down to around 60. So about as busy as we were last year with the addition of this new permit planning application wise. The building permit numbers aren't on this graph. This is only land use applications, but we did see quite a few. Top of my head, it's between 60 and 70. It's for single family homes. Seen since before 2000 session, so it's a busy year for us. But otherwise, pretty consistent with what we've been seeing.
Any questions for staff? Thank you. We look forward to even more here in 2026. Keeping you very, very busy with us.
Yeah, there's no question on that.
How's that grant going or?
Which one?
The one out there on 126 for the.
I didn't hear about this.
But
We
Did I
project
do-
this month, but we
you
don't.
did, you told us something about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you want a little update, we should hear something this morning. We were actually in a meeting with the DLCD about another project that you're about to know about because we did receive some grant funding. And but the grant that you were specifically talking about, it's called the Green Infrastructure Economic Development Grant. All told. It's basically to, when I thought that there was no chance. I mean, when I started to write it, because it looked like basically this is to, plant trees. That's their main goal, green infrastructure trees. I said, well, what about the rest of the green infrastructure? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, like, stormwater basins and bioswales and, wetlands and all. They're like, oh yeah, that's stuff too. And I go, okay, well, I want to use that. And they're like, okay. And so I put about $500,000 grant together and what it would do. Again, I wrote it up. It's one of these projects where everybody should be happy. I mean, and that's so rare. But for the city of Veneta, the goals are threefold. A, make that property developable so that things can be built on it and increase our tax base. The second thing is when that happens, we intend to go and redo ODOT's right of way. And that means clearing out a lot of that junk that's in front. So some of the trees are going to come down on the property itself. And then that right of way being cleared, you'll finally be able to see Veneta proper from the highway. And that's very important. Third, lot 400 or half of lot 400 is included in this grant. We would go down there and we would redo the wetlands. Now, it's an interesting situation down there because the majority of the trees are ash. And if you don't know, they're going to die. I mean, there's just no getting around it. In 20 years, that lot would be completely denuded of ash trees. There, so what we're saying is in this area, we want to, restore the wetlands. And then fence. But as we do that, we're gonna start taking ash trees out. And replanting them with a species that will be there. So over those next 20 years, that canopy will stay. And then the undergrowth will, all the nasty stuff, the blackberries and skyweed and all that stuff will all come out. And then we would plant wetland plants down there. And then finally we would fence it, put big signs on it, protected wetlands, you enter here, you go to jail. And that way we don't have the same problem if we have down on 400 now. Monday they started a fire down there. And I get it, people gotta stay warm, but lot 400 is not the place to do it. I mean, they're sitting there, they're drying their clothes because they living in, where it's raining, where it's soaked. I mean, it's just being flooded. So, keeping all of those things in mind, the property owner wins because they have some saleable property. The planning commission is gonna have to be a big part of this. They call me up tomorrow and they say, hey, you got your grant. We need to talk. Because the other thing that keeps them from developing down there is you have a 50-foot easement off of any wetland down. It makes the property unbuildable. So if we redevelop those wetlands, if we fix those wetlands, we take all that in, talk about blackberry, there's a monoculture of blackberry down there that's probably 30-40 feet wide and then 120-140 foot long, and it's gonna have to be taken out of there with an excavator. I mean, that's how bad it is. Then we restore those wetlands, we say, okay, you know what, instead of that 30-foot buffer, we've got these wetlands restored, and people aren't gonna get in them. How about we save this oak savanna prairie instead? How about we recreate some oak savanna over here instead? And that way we can put some businesses in there and we can have a really nice kind of, economic development thing happen. And at the same time, we can sell it to sell is probably not the right word, but the way I present it to OWEB, because I'm writing a second grant that will be turned into, this month, that if we don't get the other one, maybe we'll get a shot with this one. But I tell them, and I tell anybody that I'm pitching this project to, someday those wetlands will be gone. If you don't protect them now, someday those oak trees will be gone. Because that property down there, one day, will be worth enough that they will pay the mitigation credits, and then they will just fill everything. So, and they will cut down every tree. So, oak savanna, I don't know if you know, but the whole Willamette Valley was oak savanna in the flat areas, and there's less than 1% of it left. It is the one item that's on the Oregon Wetlands Enhancement Board's list that they will help you preserve is oak savanna. So they're into it. Oregon Department of Forestry said we get this grant, they will be our partner. One of the guys from forestry came down here and looked at those oaks and I thought he was gonna lose his mind, he loved it. And he was just like, oh, we can't write you a letter of support, we can be a partner. So we got a lot of people who, I'm trying to round up passionate people about this because to make it work, you're gonna have to have a couple of people. I've got a friend up in Albany, dirt is his life. And then now he's interested and he's gonna come down and wants to look at the dirt. So, I gotta keep getting these people and if we do this, remember, I heard about this 30 years ago. I heard about this problem 30 years ago when I worked for Oak Ridge. When we all had planning, things together. That's constantly what I heard out of Benita. You can't see us. You can't see us. Can't see us. So hopefully that will solve that problem. And it's one of those things, I'm your community development director. I'm supposed to develop the community. And so I take that seriously. And if that's your biggest problem, let's solve it. And at the same time, we're gonna solve several other problems too. And increase the tax base, bring in some businesses. By the way, the research that I've done came back that says the next restaurant's gonna be a Wendy's and the next other business is gonna be a Harbor Freight. We'll see if it's right, but that's what they say. Anyway, that's about what you got on that. If you'd like, I can talk about the other.
Well, Ken, before you do that, I don't know, are you aware that the Economic Development Committee wants to hear from you about that grant?
I'm aware, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard. I heard that.
I will
You
tell
know-
you that I do not release it.
Okay, I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I just don't want people getting their expectations up in case, we don't get it. I mean, I wrote it, and I think we're gonna get it. And if we don't get it, then maybe we'll get this other one that we're almost done with. Maybe we'll get them both. Maybe we'll get them both and we'll build something down. It's actually fantastic.
Now, why don't you move on to the other issue that we may be considering in the future?
Oh, you will be considering this. This is money in hand. We're getting grant from DLCD, and we have a consultant for that. Jake has written 2 grants for a buildable lands inventory and an economic opportunity analysis. And all of these 3 things are kind of interrelated, and it's very strange because LCOG's going to be doing one, DLCD another, and then the consultant third. So today we're trying to get everybody, we're trying to get our scopes of work for all these 3 projects to match. And when we get that, we'll come to you because you're gonna be a big part of any planning effort, clearly, so you'll be seeing these things and we'll bring them to you next month, no matter what, we'll just lay it out for you. But we should have a scope of work by then, and you'll be knowing, what we're doing. As Daniel's first foray into the long-term planning project, so it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's the 3 of us, and this is the first time I've ever done a planning project per se with anybody, but just, so it's gonna, I think it's gonna.
Because that one develops, it will have a substantial role in the planning commission.
Anyway, that's, so that's what we've got going on with those 3 grants. They're important, to have these updated so that you know what you've got. The other thing very well could come out of this because they have changed the rules for a buildable lands inventory. And if you don't know what that is, I'll quickly tell you. You do a study of what's inside your urban growth boundary. And it says, do you have 20 years worth of land here to build on? Well, that could be good or bad. All right. Ask Lowell. They have one lady up there with an 80-acre parcel that won't develop it, and they can't ever move the urban growth boundary. Now, they'll be able to, because that piece of property, if it's seen in several BLIs, they can remove it from the next study now. They've changed that rule. Unbuildable area, wetlands, things like that, floodplains, some. Same deal. If you don't want to count them, you don't have to count them. So it very well could be that after this study, we end up saying that we can expand our urban growth boundary. And then we're going to have to probably do a whole nother study because you don't want to pick where your urban growth boundary expands. You want someone else to do it. Because otherwise, the people who don't get in the urban growth boundary will hate you. I mean, somebody else, a consultant has to say, here, that's what you want, and here's why. And then you do it. So, and I've already explained.
Otherwise, you'll end up like Ben.
Yeah, you just don't, it's bad, and if you have an outside consultant and they're telling you follow what they do, you'd be fine. And like I said, I think there's a lot of really interesting good things happening here, and I'm excited. This, especially this one down there, I've been thinking about it since I wrote it last summer and, you know, then when the other one came out, oh, I'm gonna bring that one. I'm gonna keep writing until we get it. Or I'm dead. One or the other.
Persistence.
I will keep writing, yeah. So eventually, we're gonna do something down there and.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other business for the good of the order? If not, the next meet on February 3rd, I will declare the meeting adjourned.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anything that we might do for meetings in that regard?
Yes, in fact,
Specifically, the
Yes, we actually don't, we just get them that this is going away. So I wasn't sure how quickly we could move the Zoom, but we're gonna be meeting about whether it should be Zoom or Teams or how we should do it.
So the first Zoom meeting.
Because
I have to.
I should think to mention it. Get public comment if they wanna, you know, join by Zoom, so. It's gonna happen sooner than.
because I won't be able to make the next evening. Will not be in the same crowd.
Okay, if you want to, I'll send you the Zoom link. I mean.
Oh, I have, oh, if you send me.
Well, in February.
Yeah.
February, yeah, I just need a Zoom. I mean, it's not
Actually, no.
public right now because I'm not offering it publicly, we're only offering this, because I'm still trying to work through public comment, if somebody has a public comment, I don't know, how we're gonna do that. Because of the way Cottage Grove does it, is they put it online, and you have to sign up. So we have an idea who's gonna be making a public comment, otherwise you come, or you can't just do it via Zoom just because all the Zoom bombing and just managing the whole meeting.
Everybody, it's a lot of public comment on Zoom, I know exactly.
Yeah, it's too easy for people to get on there.
That's the problem. You guys have to always be, people raise your hands.
All comment from the side, outside, has to be filtered. No, you can't comment directly, you can make a comment and someone.
Usually we do it on Friday. So
Consider that comment forward.
no, some meetings before I retire. I think teams they have to figure out so much. When people can see it,
Stairs.
Oh, I see.
you can keep commenting.
I think team-
more in
As a separate thing for that, I mean, you
yeah,
can't do that.
teams.
That's, I think, part of the reason it keeps happening is because prevented people coming
You
in.
know, I very rarely use Teams, it just seems clunky to me.
It's, I think it's clunky too,
Okay.
but, I think it's, I think we're all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's legal question, we can't accept these, can we? He can't handle that himself, because your staff is in there.
No. You can take anything from the public, they just have to give a copy to the recorder.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
I mean, interesting,
yeah, the recorder has to have a copy of anything anybody gets you, that's all.
interesting. Okay.
And if they do, we would just, if there was not an extra.
Yeah, because we're accepting, we're acknowledging, you know. it's-
Soft.
Yeah.
That's how we're waiting on it, we'll discuss the more
Yeah.
conversation.
Right. I think it's the carry.
We were not considering what you said.
And I talked to him and.
Sounds like he's shaped the meeting.
No, well, and I can't say that, there was a lead.
Sure,
And
yeah.
when I talked to him, he said, no, the thing says it has to, this is the. No.
Yeah. Because he got the neighbor fighting.
Yeah, and, no, we don't, so. Sounds, he is gonna come in and we're.
I'll let you recite
And
the
we're-
question.
Okay,
We'll try.
great. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So I can send you that Zoom link. Mark's not gonna be here, so we gotta figure this out
Trying to.
for the.
Definitely trying to
He'll
get
be
here.
for that.
He's doing a good thing, he's developing.
Gotta go back to Philadelphia. My sister,
I mean, right.
my mom's 93, she died, so my sister's been Well, she's has my mom living with her now. She's like,
Yeah,
it's not really-
She's having to do the.
Amanda. She needs, well, she's legally blind too, so she's my sister's house.
Well, we.
Yeah, right. Well, she's like 20, she represents- she just, you know, she just
There's no way.
does something and then she's exhausted. She's just,
No.
anyway. Yep.
That's right. But.
Anyway,
But what-
we'll talk before that.
Jim, did you see my application?
Yes, we got it.
Okay, well, we.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going up to city council on the 12th. So you'll probably, I don't know how the mayor deals. Yeah. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, yours and Paula is, they're in.
Thanks for your.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I'll take it.
So.
On your shelf, so I don't have to reach and they don't fall on my face. Look, I need
Nice.
the lower shelf.
It's almost there.
Yeah. It's just needs to dry.
It
and
really
then-
needs bigger room.
Well, we need a bigger building.
Right.
We need a building.
No, we're done now.
I know, well, they want to, but they don't have the money.
Oh, and the other thing is, like, I was gonna ask Melissa, why doesn't Benita have a train station?
No,
So we just have an
It'd be
alternative.
so
Train, we could
nice.
ride the train down to Kings Bay.